Good evening. Our apologies for running a little bit late. We just finished up executive session. I want to thank Focus Springfield team again for your continued efforts to keep these public meetings and participation. And I'd also like to indicate school committeeman Attorney Peter Murphy is unable to attend. He has a family function that he has to deal with tonight. So he sends his regrets. We'll now move into student representatives from the Springfield Empowerment Zone program. And first on the list is Forest Park Middle School, supported by Sarah Macon, the principal, and Sonia Tron, grade 7. Mahir Patel, if I pronounce it wrong, please correct me, grade 8. So Forest Park Middle School, the Falcons, you're in the house.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, as I said, we have two students with us this evening. Mahir, our 8th grade student, will go first.
Good evening. I am Mahir Patel, an 8th grader at Forest Park Middle School. My favorite class is science because it has more fun and it has more activities and it is very fun. We made a balloon inflated with yeast, sugar, and water. At Forest Park, there are many after-school programs and extra help for homework. We have several sport teams. I am planning to join volleyball team this spring. My class got to plant flowers in front of the school that were donated by Springfield Garden Club. We also got to make our own flower arrangement with the help to bring home. During February vacation, we have our academy to learn about math, English, reading, and writing. Have fun too. I hope to win one of the prize, JBL headphone, gift cards, a bike, and even Xbox.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Nice job.
Great, thank you. And then Sonia?
Ms. Tron?
Hi, my name is Sonia, and my 7th grade has been fun and a challenging year. 7th grade for me is definitely better than last year without the COVID and mask and everything, but still challenging in its own ways. The work we get has been challenging, but we are able to do it. I like how we have science now, and in English class, we are reading lots of stories and learning how to write different types of writing, including poems and figurative language. I think we have better classes and better incentives this year. We get to go ice skating at Sarah Arena just on days and shop at the school store. I'm a student council member and I'm looking forward to Spirit Week and planning a dance. We also have honor roll and attendance celebrations that include an ice cream party, a game and snack afternoon, and a luncheon. 7th grade has been going better than I expected, and I think most of us are doing very well in it. Overall, I would say that 7th grade is fun, challenging, and exciting.
Nice job, Ms. Tron. Thank you. We'll now move on with Springfield Realization Academy at Forest Park, supported by Selinez Cruz, adjustment counselor, and I believe James Harrison, grade 6, and Nautica Winspear, grade 7, are in the house.
Hello, good evening. Our first student will be James. He's in the 6th grade. Go ahead, James.
Good evening, Superintendent Warwick, Mayor Serrano, and the school committee. I am honored to be speaking on behalf of Springfield Realization Academy. My name is James Harrison, and I am a proud scholar. Springfield Realization Academy, better known as SRA, is a dual language school that teaches scholars English and Spanish. It also has 4 pillars that every scholar and teacher follows to create a flourishing learning environment. Those pillars are integrity, justice, perseverance, and service. All 4 pillars play an equally important role in keeping SRA a thriving community. SRA has different classes that support skills you'll need in the future, such as technology. This class helps scholars to learn to code for future opportunities like job offers. SRA also provides advanced classes for kids who want to surpass their current level of knowledge. These classes will help scholars get into the top colleges and universities. I think SRA will last and create role models that change the world for the better. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today.
James, great job. Great hair. Great hair. Look, remind me of Troy Polamalu, the all pro from Pittsburgh Steelers defensive back. Nice job, James. Nice job. Miss Winspear, Nautica, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, and all members of the school committee. My name is Nautica Wenspear, and I'm 13 years old. I'm in 7th grade, and I'm here to speak about SRA and the good things they have done for me. I started attending SRA in 6th grade. I really like the teachers. They are nice and kind and care about the scholars of SRA. I get good grades in all my classes. I do everything to the best of my ability, and I have been successful in many ways. SRA is like a family to me. They help me with things I don't know, pick me up when I'm down, and push me to do bigger things. They have a variety of different sports that kids can attend. I like to do soccer because it gives me confidence in myself. When I grow up, I want to be a business owner. SRA has always pushes you to fulfill your goals, and that's what scholars of SRA need. We get sometimes to read at the library and pick out our books. The scholars of SRA are kind, so they help scholars to do what they can to make the school a better place. I love to go to school because I learn new things every day. I started designing t-shirts and cups 3 years ago, and ever since, SRA has been supporting me in my small business. They will buy my products and help me expand my business. They always supported me and helped me grow my business. I love that the school is right near my house, so when it's cold outside, I can walk or drive right next door. They do different fun days where kids can have a little fun now and then. For Christmas, we did a whole week of fun activities, which made the kids not be so stressed about work. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you today.
Nice job, Miss Winspear. You're an entrepreneur. Way to go. Okay, third on the list, my alma mater, the High School of Commerce, supported by Principal Paul Neal, Andrew Marshall, Sonia Donnell, Alyssa Beyer, and I believe we have a Gray Martinez who will be up. So I'll turn it over to the administration, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alyssa Beyer, and I will be speaking on behalf of Principal Neal, Principal Marshall, and Principal Donnell. I am in charge of the college and career programs, and this evening I have Gray Martinez. She is one of our dual enrollment scholars. She is currently a 10th grader. She loves to sing. She's a part of our Worcester State University program, as well as our STIC program. So she is taking 2 college courses in the 10th grade. So Gray, take it away.
Good evening, Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, school committee members, principals, parents, and scholars. As Ms. Beyer said, my name is Gray. I come from New York and I moved to Springfield during quarantine. When I first came here, I had no connections and I had to start from scratch all over again. But when I started going to Commerce, they start implementing the whole college idea into your brain the moment you enter the building freshman year. And then on your sophomore year, you get to push and do what you really want. I learned about their dual enrollment classes, which you can gain college credits from. I learned about their connections with local colleges, like Ms. Beyer said, Worcester, STIC, and other colleges. And it really helped me open my eyes to all the resources around me and all the options that I have, because no matter what, there is a resource around you, whether it's with college help. In the library, we have a college hub. So we really get to put our lives into college, because when we do the STIC program, for example, STIC is across the street from Commerce. So we get to go on campus. I believe it's next year, but we get more information on that. But they're very big on college and they want to push you to do your best. And that's really what I appreciate the most about my school. But thank you for allowing me to speak with you.
Great job, Gray. Thank you, spectators. Springfield Honors Academy at the High School of Commerce, at Commerce, is accompanied by the principal, Grace Howard Donnellan, and teacher Thomas Bodo. Jamison, if I pronounce it wrong, correct me, Sandeville, Ariel Cummings, Calais Orlandi. Calais Orlandi Long. And if I pronounce your name wrong, please correct me. So we'll turn it over to the administration.
Good
Kayla.
evening, Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, members of the school committee, fellow colleagues, and your honored students. I always love this night. I present to you 3 phenomenal SHA juniors, James Na, Sameville, Kaylees, Orlando Long, and Ariel Cummings. They're joined by their AP seminar teacher, Mr. Tom Bodo, to share their experience in the AP seminar program tonight, in which our scores are exceeding state, national, and global expectation. So I'm immensely proud, and I am going to turn it over to the ladies, I believe.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I'm in the AP seminar program at Springfield Honors Academy. In the first quarter of AP seminar, we specifically focused on city planning in Springfield. We had the opportunity to participate in a walking field trip with a UMass professor in city planning and a city planner in Springfield, Mr. Alvin Allens. The walking trip allowed my peers and me to see some of the problems that we were studying firsthand, and Mr. Allen was able to point out the small details that we missed. We focused on things that we noticed about the space first, and like the little details of the design of the space around us and how that impact the way that we felt in that space. It allowed us to further our research by understanding how to emphasize those little details or minimize the aspects of the space that we didn't like. For me specifically, this meant learning how to decrease speed and make the roads more welcoming to non-motorists.
Thank you. Unless I missed it, could you please introduce yourself, young lady, so our public knows? Unless I missed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Khalees from Springfield Honors Academy.
Nice job, dear. Nice job. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Na. I'm also in the AP seminar program at Springfield Honors Academy. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. To add to what Khalees was saying, last semester, we split ourselves into groups and did research on topics that we care about in Springfield. Some topics that our groups decided to do research on include traffic calming, crime prevention to environmental design, and air pollution. We also received feedback from graduate students studying urban planning at UMass. We implemented those feedback, and this semester we get to include those feedbacks in our research papers. This time not writing about just Springfield, but also national issues facing our nation. My group's research question is whether or not plea bargaining should be abolished. I feel that my communication and writing skills have improved a great deal, and I know those are skills I will continue to use throughout my life.
Nice job, dear. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't believe Ariel was able to join us or enter, so we'll have to miss out on her piece for tonight.
Thank you, Madam Principal, and congratulations on those record-breaking scores. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
We now move to Emergence Academy at Commerce, High School Commerce, supported by Miss Ramos, Assistant Principal, Caesar Serpa, and Letty Manzueta. If I pronounce it wrong, please, please, please correct me.
Thank you, Mayor Sarno. Good evening, Superintendent Warwick, school committee members, and all Springfield Public School staff and students. I'm here with 2 of our best students at Emergence Academy, Lady Manzueta and Cesar Serpa. Go ahead, Lady.
Assistant Principal
evening,
Ramos,
Mayor
Coach,
Sarno.
congratulations too. I just left you. We're doing the C3 at the Basketball Hall of Fame, so thank you for doing double duty. And I apologize, young lady.
It's okay.
Mr. Swift-Wood.
Good evening, Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, school committee members, and all Springfield Public School staff and students. My name is Lady Mansueta, and I am a ninth grader at the Emergence Academy. I'm originally from Dominican Republic, and I moved here a year and 3 months ago. One of the reasons why I love my school is because I can learn more English with small classes and the teachers are willing to help. Also, I feel like this is a real community and we respect all our difference. I love that teachers take their time to check every day on our well-being and make sure that we are okay. Another reason why I love my school is because they really take in consideration the student opinion for future decisions. I love that we have some time to do homework with staff that help us with it. And lastly, I really like that we have a time in our schedule to read and have some joy time. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Nice job, Ms. Mansueta. Thank you. Very nice job.
Thank you.
Caesar, you're up.
All right, good evening, Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, member of the school committee, and all the staff and students of the Springfield Public School. My name is Cesar Serpa, and I am a ninth grade student at the Emergence Academy. I am originally from Venezuela. One of the reasons I love my school, Emergence Academy, is because my community comes to school to learn and becomes excellent English speakers. I do not consider myself one, but close. Additionally, our community is diverse with the students from all over the world. Another reason I love my school is because I feel support by my staff members and I learn something new every day. Whether it's from the students around me or from the staff. Also, I love that the school provides college class for our high school students. Lastly, I love my school because although we learn a lot, we also have time to have fun and compete against the teachers in the game. Thank you all and have a great day.
Great job, both of you. Great presentation. Thank you, Caesar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Duggan Academy's in the house, supported by Billy Snow, William Snow, Associate Principal, Jayla James, Senior, Paul Smith, 8th grade, as supported by April Robinson, Associate Principal. So I'll turn it over to the administration and hello to Principal Calvanese, too.
Good evening, Mayor, Superintendent Warwick, school committee members. It's my pleasure to present one of our rock stars at Duggan, Paul Smith. Go ahead and take it away, Paul.
Superintendent Warwick, Mayor Sarno, school committee members, friends and family, good evening. I want to take a moment to talk about this great school. When I think of Duggan, I think of 4 words: love, family, peace, and fun. Those are the words that come to mind. Love is when Duggan staff members deliver necessities to families during challenging times of need. Family is knowing that you always have someone in the building to talk to when you are having a problem. Peace is the feeling you get when you walk into Duggan. And when Duggan is when you're in an uproar, Duggan is the place to be. Now, fun is our enrichments, family bingo night, donuts with dads, muffins with moms, and many celebrations, including our Hispanic Heritage Luncheon and our upcoming Black History celebration that you all are invited to on Tuesday, February 14th at Don J. Duggan Academy. Before I came to Duggan, I didn't have the real hunger for academics, nor learning to what I needed to help me excel to the next level. The first day I stepped into Duggan, my life changed. So did my perspective about my education. With the help of some of the best teachers in Springfield, I realized that I am the author of my story. I am responsible for my education. I am responsible for my destiny. I am responsible for my actions. And now, in the great words of Martin Luther King, the function of education is to teach one to think intensely and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. Duggan has lived up to this for years. This school has so much to offer, more than the time I have available this evening. And as I close, I say this: I would not be where I am had it not been for the strength of God and John J. Duggan Academy. I am so grateful to be able to say that I am doing great work at this school. And I am looking forward to doing more incredible things in my high school journey here at John J. Duggan Academy. In the words of Duggan, let's work hard, be nice, and let's get going. Thank you.
Paul, great job, Paul. And thank you for your hospitality when I came to speak at Duggan maybe a week or so ago or 10 days ago. You were a student ambassador, and your hospitality was very welcoming when we went to the auditorium.
You're welcome.
Ms. Robinson, you're absolutely right. He's a rock star. Good young man. Good young man. Thank you, Paul. Miss James? Nice, really nice kid. Nice kid.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good evening, everyone. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
That's good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jayla James, and as some of you may know, I am a student at John J. Duggan Academy. I've been a part of the Duggan family since the 6th grade, and it has been quite a journey. A journey where I built myself, broke myself down, and built myself again. I've done this academically and personally, and Duggan helped highlight how personal academics can truly be in a student's life. As a senior, I'm currently working a part-time job. I'm a student athlete and theoretically a part-time parent to my 2-year-old sister. The student experience is both the same and different for every student. For me, it depended on the people I surrounded myself with. The responsible and respectable student and person I am sort of came naturally, starting from the young and and my Duggan family helped me maintain it as I continue it and continue my GPA of a 4.24. But with that coming naturally doesn't mean it wasn't hard. From my experience and what I took from it, a strong student goes through struggles with, ironically, the things they're strong at. Persistence, the understanding of different parts of a curriculum, persevering with standardized testing, the whole basic student role. But what's not basic is how the student decides to handle it. The end of high school doesn't mean the end of the scholarly drive, and I intend and suggest other students to thrive on past that point towards opportunities. With that being said, thank you all for giving me this opportunity to express my experience, and have a good night.
Great job, Miss James. Great hair, too. Duggan, you rocked the house tonight. Thank you very, very much. Van Sickle Academy's in the house, supported by Principal Bobby Francesca and Ronnie McCoy, Assistant Principal, 2 good guys. And we have Jaden Villafane, if I pronounce it wrong, correct me, and Xavier. Oh, we got a doubleheader here. Villafante, too, grade 8 and grade 6. So I'll turn it over to Principal Francesca. Say hi to your parents and Ronnie, the family there, for an opening, please.
Thank you, Mayor Sarno. Good evening, Mayor Sarno and Superintendent Warwick and school committee and students and families. Very proud tonight to present Jaden and Xavier Villafane. They're actually cousins, and they're come from awesome family. Any parent be proud to call them their kids, and they really represent Van Sickle Academy. I'm proud to have them on tonight. Ed Xavier, actually, a number of his brother and his sister both attended Van Sickle Academy, so he's our 3rd sibling from the family. With that being said, I will turn it over to Jaden. I'm sorry, Ed Xavier. Ed Xavier first.
Thanks, guys.
Hello, Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, and members of the school committee. My name is Xavier Villafane, and I go to VSA. I am a 6th grade student. My experience in school has been wonderful. Coming to middle school has allowed me to meet all the new students and teachers, and it is good to see new faces and make new friends. Things that I like about VSA are the teachers, the counselors, and the principals, and what they teach us. This year, I did not participate in any school sports, but I'm going to next year because out of school, I play basketball. So next year, I want to do that for my school. Something I would change about VSA is the phone policy. I mean to not have us put the phones away. The person in my life that has the biggest impact on me is my father. He is there to push me in both school and sports. In school, In school and sports, my cousin Jaden is someone that sets a good example for me. It's true what they say about our cousins being some of our first friends. I hope that I still like Vansicle over the next 2.5 years, and I look forward to going to Central in my future. My brother is there now. I will have 2 older members of my family there. Thank you for your time.
Xavier, way to go. Nice job. Nice job.
Thank you.
Jaden, you're up.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, and members of the school committee. I am Jaden Villafane, an 8th grade student that attends Vansicle Academy. I would like to share a little about my experience from 6th to 8th grade. My middle school experience so far has had many special moments. The staff and my fellow students have become a big part of my life. This school offers great things such as sports and, most importantly, a great education. I believe that education is one of the most important things in life. This school offers me the chance to take advantage of a great education. The topics you learn about are interesting, and my teachers help to make it easy to understand, and I'm thrilled to be a part of Vansicle Academy. I like going to Vansicle because as soon as you arrive, you feel welcome. The staff are generous people, and the students have become extremely close. This school is deeper than just people teaching and kids learning, and my 3 years here has felt way more than that. I feel like I've had a second home coming to VSA, and I'm honored to call Vansicle my second family. Even though I don't participate in school sports, Vansicle has a great way of giving students opportunities to be physically active to encourage our physical growth along with our academics. I play sports outside of school such as football and basketball. If I could share anything about Vansicle Academy, it would be the phone policy. For a while now, this topic has had a lot of debate. A lot of the students disagree with the policy. I think we should be able to keep our phones and be expected to be responsible and not let technology interfere with our ability to focus and not be distracted. Also, I wish Vansicle would offer us more opportunities to express ourselves, such as giving us several Spirit Weeks. I choose to mention Spirit Weeks because it gives us the ability to share more of our interests with our peers and school family by expressing ourselves. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the influence my grandparents have had in my life, and many of the choices I make are wanting to make them proud. The reason for this is because they have shaped me into the person I am today, and their impact will forever be appreciated, and I am grateful that they have shared their life lessons and wisdom. My dream is to one day become a professional athlete. My goal is to become a forensic detective, but most importantly, I want to be successful in life, and that's the main goal. That starts with the next chapter of my education journey, which hopefully will be to attend Central High School, helping to continue my journey and seeking to push all my dreams into existence. Thank you for the platform to share my thoughts in a small part of my story. Sincerely, Jaden Villafane. Thank you.
Nice job. Thank you for acknowledging the wisdom of your grandparents, too. Great job. Last but not least is Rise Academy and Rise Prep Academy of Vansicle, supported by Anna Breen, the executive principal, Jane Elise Gonzalez, if I pronounce it wrong, please correct me, and Carlos Gomez, please.
Good evening, Mayor Sarno, and good evening, everyone else at the school committee and all of my colleagues and all these wonderful students who I've really loved listening to. At Rise Prep, we are really excited this spring because we have our first graduating class of seniors. And so with me tonight are 2 of our seniors who will be graduating in June, who have been with me at Rise since they were in 6th grade. So this is the end of a 7-year journey for them. And I will turn it over to Gianna Elise Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, Ms. Gonzalez.
Good evening. I am a senior at Rise Prep Academy, and to be honest, I thought it would be important for me to talk about my experience at Rise because I've actually grown up here. I've been in middle school for the first few years, and then I became a senior. So, to be honest, when I became in middle school, I realized that I didn't know what to expect. And to be honest, I realized that staying here for high school just made sense for me. You know, the smaller community, the smaller school community and the support I received from the teachers really did help me excel. The journey to senior year wasn't exactly easy because I had my own pains as a teenager and things that hurt me over time. But I had support from both at home and at school. But now I can't believe graduation is so close to me. Like, I've grown up here and Rise has prepared me in many ways. And to be honest, one person that supported me throughout my graduation, his name was Mr. Hurt. He helped me through my college experience. And so far, I have been accepted to AIC and the University of Bridgeport, all because of him. He really did help me in this journey throughout college. And he was definitely a very big help with the steps I needed to take in order to take action for my future. There have been plenty of other teachers too who have also shaped my experience here and helped me along my journey. And to be honest, I don't know where I would be without them.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Very heartfelt. Good luck, whether at AIC or Bridgeport, too. Thank you, dear. Mr. Gomez, Carlos?
Good evening. My name is Carlos Gomez. I'm also a senior at Rise Prep Academy. Throughout my time at Rise, I have grown and learned a lot academically and personally. My middle school years were very rough. I was a big kid with a short temper. Sometimes I was hard to deal with, but the staff never gave up on me. As I began to move into high school, the staff was always encouraging me and letting me know that I could do better and be better. My high school years started off rough due to COVID, but teachers and staff helped and reassured me that everything would be all right. Teachers like Miss Walker were there to support me and guide me through that difficult time. She was super supportive and motivating. Even though we were on Zoom, she made class very enjoyable. Mr. Hurt is another staff member that has helped me encourage me to go to college, which is something I did not see myself doing in middle school, but he changed my mind. Rise has plenty of teachers and counselors who don't just do their job, but go above and beyond for their students.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Thank you to all the schools and the students. Did a fantastic job tonight, and we wish you continued success. That concludes the student speak out, and we'll take a 30-second or 1-minute recess, and then a regularly scheduled meeting will move forward. Thank you so much. Good evening. Sorry for the delay. Just a clarification. Madam Clerk, would you please call the meeting to order, and would you please call the roll, please?
Present.
Attorney Murphy is away. He has a family function this evening, sends his regrets.
Here. Here. Present. Present.
President, can we all please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Welcome to our viewing audience, and right around the corner, happy Valentine's Day to each and every one of you from our school committee. We'll now move to Section 2, approval of the minutes. Approve the minutes of the January 26, 2023 school committee regular session. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, is a motion?
So moved.
Motion by, I believe, Ms. Gresham. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Naylor. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient votes, this matter passes. Thank you. We'll now move to voting items, and A is a vote to recommend to the full school committee that to approve projects for submittal to the Massachusetts School Building and Authority for the 2023 statements of interest as stated below. We're going to continue to be aggressive, and we're very appreciative of the MSBA, Jack McCarthy and crew, and Treasurer Deb Goldberg, and we're going to build on the $750 million of new schools and rehab schools. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Naylor, and she will read the first one, A1. Vice Chair?
A1 states be it resolved, having convened in an open meeting on February 9, 2023, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the School Committee of Springfield, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest form dated April 18, 2023, for the German Harena Community School located at 200 Bernie Avenue, Springfield, Mass., which describes and explains the following deficiencies and the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. Priority number 1 and priority number 5 for the replacement and installation of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems for the entire educational complex and for the associated exterior envelope repairs required by the new HVAC systems and the review and build-out of all pod classrooms, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the City Town Regional School District to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Thank you, Vice Chair Naylor. Is there the motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gonzalez. I know that's music to his ears. If there's no discussion or any questions, roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient votes, the matter passes. I will now recognize Mr. Collins, Chair of the Building Committee. He will speak on, make the motion on A2.
Thank you, Mayor. A2 this is a result of discussion at the maintenance, Building and Maintenance Subcommittee, where we understand that it may be prudent to submit for 2 proposals. So this proposal is also dealing with Harena. So resolved, having convened in an open meeting on February 9th, 2023, prior to the statements of interest submission closing date, The School Committee of Springfield, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest from form dated April 14th, 2023 for Herman Harena School located at 200 Burney Avenue, Springfield, Massachusetts, which describes and explains the following deficiencies and priority categories for which the application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority. Priority number 7, the replacement of an obsolete school facility to better serve Springfield residents, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting the statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or approval of the application, awarding the grant or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commitments for the city, town, or regional school district to filing the application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. The motion's been made by Mr. Collins. There's second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gonzalez. Again, that's music to his ears, too. Roll call. If there's no questions or comments, roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, more than sufficient vote, this matter passes. I will now turn it back to Vice Chair Monroe Naylor on A3.
A3 states resolved, having convened in an open meeting on February 9, 2023, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the School Committee of Springfield, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest form dated April 14, 2023, for the White Street School located at 300 White Street, Springfield, Massachusetts, which describes and explains the following deficiencies in the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority, and the future priority number 7 for the replacement of an obsolete school facility to better serve the Springfield students, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the city, town, regional school district to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Motion's been made by Vice Chair Monroe Naylor. If there's no discussion or comments, is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collins, my old grammar school, White Street. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, more than sufficient vote, this matter passes. Thank you. Back to the Vice Chair. A4, please.
A4 states resolved, having convened in an open meeting on February 9, 2023, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the School Committee of Springfield, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest form dated April 14, 2023, for the Washington School located at 141 Washington Street, Springfield, Mass., which describes and explains the following deficiencies and the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority, and the future priority number 7 for the replacement of an obsolete school facility to better serve the Springfield students, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the city, town, regional district to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
The motion has been made by Vice Chair Monroe Naylor. I did a little time at Washington Street School, too. Is there any questions or comments? If not, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collins. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, more than sufficient votes, the matter passes. Thank you. Back to the vice chair. A5 will conclude the statements of interest.
Yes, a motion to approve making German Harena Community School the district's #1 priority.
Motion has been made by Vice Chair Monroe Naylor. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second, music to his ears, Mr. Gonzalez. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, one is official vote, the matter passes. Thank you very much. We'll now move to Section 4, informational discussion items. Exciting update on the Duggan project update. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This went through our Building and Maintenance Committee yesterday also, so Mr. Collins also might want to speak to it. Pat Roach and I can give a brief presentation of what we're trying to do, but the truth is the mayor is the one who funded 100% of this initiative and has been the lead on it, so we don't want to take credit for it because it really came out of his department, but we're really excited to get this Duggan project done. This is something when we closed Ted Plum Field in 2012 to build the new Putnam, we said we'd try to do for the public, and the mayor committed to come up with a way of doing it, and now he's followed through on that. And we're going to have a new field complex at Duggan. We're going to have the athletic football field similar to Central's, with a high-grade turf, the track. We're going to have athletic fields other than that, and also a major upgrade in the parking lot, which is going to take a lot of work because there's been some drainage problems and things like that in the past. But it's a 3-phase project, the first one being the football field, which, if everything goes according to schedule, our idea is to have it online for the fall. And then Mr. Early, our AD, is very excited about that. It would be for our athletic use because we've been down to one field that's getting worn hard at Central High School. And plus, that it'll be available for the city, the youth leagues also. So, it's a 3-phase project. That would be the first phase, and up, like I say, maybe in the fall to take the pressure off for us. Pat can go into some more specifics on it. Pat Roach, are you on?
Yes, I am. Superintendent, I think you covered it pretty well. It's an over $14 million project that the mayor chose to bond for, so we definitely want to thank him for that. It's a pretty big commitment for the facilities there. The bleachers are going to fit about 1,400 fans, which will be really nice for the events that we have going on there. As phase 2 with the ball fields, it'll be a baseball diamond and softball diamond, as well as a couple outdoor basketball courts. In phase 3 with the parking lots, there's going to be walking trails that go throughout and around all the different facilities there, as well as it's conservation land property. It's not part of the actual Duggan School property, but there's going to be some nice walking and hiking trails throughout that conservation property that's going to connect to the school and make the Ted Plum Field and Duggan Park like a really nice park for the neighborhood and for the city.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick, and thank you, Mr. Roach. I don't know if there's any questions or comments, but a city our size deserves this and made the commitment and been able to cobble together the funding. You could see with Central, we have students that are not playing ball or athletes, he or she, that are going on to fantastic higher academia colleges and universities. But we've had a tremendous amount of students who have been able to parlay their athletic ability into scholarships. And we gave our word, and the superintendent will say that, with the new Putnam Vocational Technical Academy coming on board, that the Ted Plum Field would be replaced, legendary coach Ted Plum. And this is going to be not only great for Duggan Academy, but it's going to be great for the whole city, the whole system and residents and all the youth leads there. And the more we keep our young people involved, structured, and doing these types of positive things, the better they do in school, which opens opportunities. So I'm very excited, and it's going to be, this field will be completely lit field, just like Central. And the first phase, we're hopeful by the fall, and then we're going to, parlay the second and third phase. But it's just it'll be a home run. And I appreciate everybody's efforts. It's been a city and school administration partnership, and I just think it'll send one hell of a message about how we care about our students and we care about our student athletes and continue to build Central now, again, called the home of scholars and champions. We have scholars and champions in all our schools, but looking forward to it. And thank you to everybody involved. Patrick Sullivan, my Director of Parks and Facilities, he is actually he's covering another meeting for me tonight on it, but Superintendent Warwick and Mr. Roach, Pat, explained it, and I think it's just going to benefit everybody, and youth development is important to each and every one of us. Please, any questions or comments, but I look forward to the fall. Ms. Gresham.
I think that's wonderful that they'll be doing this for the community, for Doug, and also for the community. So you said the start date approximate in the fall?
We're hoping the field, the lights, the stadium, the stands and everything for the fall. And then we have phase 2 and phase 3, which includes other fields, walking path, and then really to tackle the parking lot area. You got to remember that was an old dump area there. So it's not as simple as, Dom, why didn't you just pave the thing? We have to do underground work on that. And and it's right, when you look at it, sort of centralized in the city.
In the city, yeah, it is.
So it'll be another draw. It'll be another draw for families to come to Springfield too.
I really think so, and the parking lot has been such a problem for as long as it's been there. We've always been trying to patch it, but the drainage will be fixed and the parking lot will be stabilized for once and for all. So it's a huge project. Like I say, Dwayne is very excited about it because we've been operating well, but very tight with fields and proper fields for the kids. And again, there's that overuse at Central, so we want to get the use off of it. But it's a very exciting project, and I think it's going to be great for the entire city. Yes. And we're really excited about it and very grateful for you, Mayor, stepping up, because this is
my pleasure. Right thing to do. And Pete Garvey, I got to give a shout out to Pete Garvey, my capital assets manager, does a wonderful job. He's got that private and public background, and he's been just immeasurable what he's been able to do as we put these projects together, and my TJ Plan and the finance team for finding creative ways to get this thing done.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Collins.
You said that the message that it sends out, the other part of the message that you didn't mention that goes out is we are the envy of most school districts in the state in the sense of cooperation between the city and the schools.
Yeah.
Because no matter what events any of us go to, they all go, what do you mean, when we talk about the working relationship between city government and school government? And this is but another example of that.
Mr. Collins, funny you bring that up. I had to speak before another school body today, and I had made the general comment that when the city, we were facing some challenges, I could always go to the schools and help me out. And vice versa, when the schools are facing challenges, they come to me, and we were able to. You're right, because there's other systems that it's this, and we're very lucky. We all work together for the betterment of the
Just one
students.
other interesting comment. When Duggan had its first graduation, I told the students at that graduation that's come a long way since that was actually Shay's dump.
Yeah.
And the principal of Duggan happened to be named Shay, not the same family, of course. But that was Shay's dump, a little pretty white picket fence all around it. And
Plus, I think you sang at those graduations too, Chris. Am I correct?
Pardon me?
You always had a little song too.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah.
Just in case anyone was sleeping. But one other piece of this, and to congratulate Pat Sullivan and Pete Garvey and their teams, but Pat also wrote a grant to help with this project.
NFL.
And we're going to have trails and everything else going through there. And that we'll be turning it over to Park Land, and we'll just manage it cooperatively. We've had a great partnership to do that. So the parks are actually going to take the land, and we'll be asking the school committee to turn it over to the parks so that we can get a federal grant that Pat got through Congressman Neal, who also wanted to support this project. So it's just a great team effort with Pat Sullivan's and Peter Garvey's departments, and they're they're helping us all
Yeah,
the
and
time. so.
Again, Congressman Neal, to Richie, I want to
Right.
thank to helping
Yeah.
on the federal level. And then we also, NFL grant that we received, and also Mr. Kraft, I believe, were on the Patriots team. And you know, I'm not bashful for putting diplomatically, aggressively putting the arm out there for other of our corporate citizens for other possibilities there too. But it's great that phase one's going to come about and everybody working together. So very heartwarming. I'm going to shut up now, okay? Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Thanks for the update. Now B is Conservatory of the Arts, Advance the Vocal Students Competition. Marcus Karras, let me tell you, outstanding that competition that they just did. I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent. Only 2 schools, if this is the one, only 2 schools in Massachusetts were picked. Many of them, and this was done at I think at a prep school, many of them were suburban type schools, and Conservatory Arts did really, really well. Really, really well. Superintendent Warren?
Yeah, no, the great performance by our students at the Conservatory of the Arts. They came in second for outstanding choreography. Second overall, silver citation, and first for the outstanding choreography. So really a wonderful performance. The group, his name is Revolution. Like the mayor said, Marcos Carreras is our director of music there. They've done a fabulous job. So this was the Wyvern International A Cappella Festival. And again, a very difficult competition, and our kids really did well. So our seniors involved were Lillian Clemens, Bailey DeStefano, Kayla Staley, Julia Stavia, Shirley Santana, and Ziamara Alicia. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Kelly, who's going to come on now and maybe introduce his folks, and they were going to perform for us.
Principal Mr. Soccer there. And the other school, I think, was Lexington. So Conservatory of the Arts and Lexington High from that, all of New England, and only 2 in Massachusetts.
So Lexington, the richest community in the Commonwealth.
It is.
Yeah.
Principal Kelly, Mr. Soccer, you there?
I'm here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I remember playing soccer at Duggan, so I'm glad to see you guys are making that field a lot nicer. That's awesome for the kids.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, in spite of the challenges, you still became an All-American, so that's pretty good.
He was a really good soccer player.
Mr. Carreras, I think, would do better to introduce the kids and talk about the competition. He was really fired up about it, so I'll turn it over to him.
Mr. Energy, yeah.
I wish I had his energy.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Marcos.
I should bottle it and make a killing off of that. So, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to just give you a pretense to the festival. So, you have to pre-apply through performance videos. And so we originally were a standby. And as the superintendent and mayor were alluding to, these schools are both private schools where kids pay $60,000 and above to go to school for secondary high schools, as well as some of the wealthiest public schools in New England. And as we know, because of COVID, many of the a cappella groups across the country dissolved because it's very hard to make music online, as you can tell with some of my students' Wi-Fi issues. And for us, we were very fortunate to be able to grow during COVID, all of our music ensembles. And so a lot of the traditional powerhouses from Rhode Island and New York and whatnot, and Connecticut and Massachusetts, obviously a lot of the traditional powers disbanded. So we were given 3 weeks to prepare for this live television production, as well as our first time ever performing as a choir. It's been a long time since we had that opportunity. So we were given 3 weeks, which is essentially 9 class periods, and then 3 class periods to come up with choreography. The result is I posted in the chat for you. If you open up the chat, you can see the live video that we recorded and captured for the event. So there was traditionally usually 14 to 15 groups in New England that qualify. Only 10 were able to go because of the circumstance I explained before. The MC was the Hollywood star Deke Sharon, who is responsible for making all the music for the movies Pitch Perfect. If you're familiar with, they had 3 movies in that series, as well as there's a new series on Peacock called I think like Brody Goes to Berlin. And so he absolutely fell in love with our kids from the very first workshop that we had with him. So imagine, if you will, when you watch this video, we were called up first, never having sung together live in about 2.5 years. And here we are live on television with the judges from a professional, the number one a cappella group in the country called Backtrack. And then they're standing right at the table, right in front of the stage. And then there's live cameras on the left and right of the stage, and then photographers all over the place. So curtain goes up and it's conservatory. And so we were deer in a headlight. So I wanted to have some of our seniors here, Bailey DeStefano, who got into several colleges to study music. Bailey DeStefano is one of our senior leaders, as is Shirley Santana, whose Wi-Fi is glitching up there. Bailey was a soloist. Some of you may recall hearing from Kayla Staley. Kayla also got into several colleges to study music. Kayla and Bailey were some of our soloists. Zia Mare over in the Cupper, she's a junior, and she was a tremendous soloist as well. So when you hear our performance on that video, I think you'll be super impressed with this. So again, they finished second overall to Lexington, who has 9 a cappella groups, to our 3 weeks of training in this style. And our kids beat every school and won outstanding choreography. So Bailey, would you mind talking first to the committee and our mayor and superintendent?
Hello, my name is Bailey DeStefano. I'm a senior at Conservatory. Sorry, my friend's glitching camera made me laugh so hard. Anyways, so the whole experience was really fun. And anytime I think about it, it's like, I really think that's going to be a core memory for me. I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life, because it was really such a fun event. And it was a time I got to spend. So we were there in the morning all the way until like 10 p.m. And even every hour of it felt like minutes, because it just went by so fast, because we got to do all these workshops and we got to spend time with our whole choir, our whole group. And it was just really fun being able to like make those memories with each other, as well as being able to get professional help from people who have been in the industry for so long, especially Deke Sharon. He was only with us for 30 minutes to help us with the song, or with our songs. And he still like helped us grow so much in just those 30 minutes. And that, I think, especially with the help of Senor, we were able to do better than we could have ever done. And I think it was a really special moment. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Zio, do you want to jump in as being the one of the only juniors in the group?
I'm a sophomore. That's what I want to say.
Okay, sorry.
At first it was nerve-wracking, but like being on stage with like my friends kind of like calmed me down. It was so cool, like meeting people that have been like worked so hard for what they like are doing now, and they helped us out, like gave us some tricks and tips on like how we should sing or dance, especially looking at the audience, because we had like a really hard time doing that at first, but like we did good. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, it sounds like Shirley, did Julius make it on? Anybody know? No? Okay. Shirley, is your audio working enough if you want to say anything?
Is it working or is it glitching?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Wait, let me turn on my camera. Hi.
Hi, Shirley.
This experience, honestly, for me, at first, I was really nervous because singing in front of a lot of people is like, especially people I don't know, it's like really hard for me. But of course, having my teacher there and having my friends there made the experience way better. And I honestly enjoyed it very much.
And I hope I have like more moments like that.
How about you young ladies? Could you sing us a few chords there of a cappella? Could you do that? Could you?
You're gonna have to watch. You're gonna have to watch it. It's like 4 different processing rates.
All right, I was trying
Nevertheless,
to get a sneak
I
preview.
know.
Okay.
But in closing, for everyone, I just want to thank you all for not only helping us represent the city of Springfield, but all the support you've given our conservatory, not only for the funding to help make these projects possible, but for making this school an option for our students who are so passionate about pursuing careers in the entertainment industry, because it's changing lives, and the outcomes are just starting to meet fruition as they start taking the next steps on the journeys to go to college to study. And it's all because of what we've been able to accomplish through our incredible administration, through Mr. Kelly, Ms. Santori, and Mr. Soto, and obviously our superintendent, who's just unwavering support of what we do. So thank you so much, and may God bless.
Thank you, Music Director Carreras. Thank you, Principal Kelly, Mr. Sacre. I don't know if there's any questions or comments from the school committee members.
I have a.
Ms. Vice Chair
First
Monroe
of all,
Naylor?
we gotta make sure we get that link sent to us because I can't wait to see it. But I was just reminiscing about the first time I went into conservatory when it was over off Nursery Street, and it was in the old Catholic church.
Yeah.
And it was like this idea of what it was going to be. And I remember meeting with Principal Kelly and talking to the superintendent and this vision of what it could be. And now to see the building where we're at now and the things that the young people are doing, it's just phenomenal. And I'm just excited about the staff, just everybody. You're just doing such great work, and you deserve everything that you're getting and more, and I just can't wait to continue to see how things come into fruition.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be sure to send you an invitation to our first ever musical, because we've been working with a lot of Grammy winners helping us. So we look forward to inviting you all to attend.
The beautiful Masonic building and one of the most historic auditorium areas in the city, too. It's great that when they present there. Ms. Hurst, please.
Yes, if I could make a plug.
Okay.
Can we get a performance for graduation, please?
Ooh.
Because you all have so much talent, as we all know. And I think it was Chris and I were sitting there one day and we were like, they're really amazing. Why haven't we, why didn't they perform? And so we really want a performance come graduation night. Thank you.
That's a good plug. Thank you, Ms. Hurst. And it's been seconded by Mr. Collins, too. I think the whole school committee. But fantastic, and keep shining, keep shining. If there's no other questions or comments, we'll now move to White Street School best practices, and that was really my old grammar school there. Superintendent Warwick?
Yes, indeed, and it's doing really well. So looked at some of the scores, and we've been bringing some of the schools that have really excelled forward. And so, White Street School, which is a former level 4 school, has achieved a significant turnaround, has achieved such great success. Looking at the scaled scores, up to 490 in ELA, and the student growth percentile in ELA last year went up to 57.6, a 37.7% increase. Math, we were up to 486.3 in scaled score, a gain of 9.9 points. 59.9 SGP, a 41.7% increase. Again, showing our gains after what we endured with the pandemic. Science, again, over 490, 491, a gain of 8.9 points. So incredible growth given what we've sustained in a school that at one point was in the bottom 5 percentile, is now up to the 38th percentile in the state, and probably about the 2nd or 3rd relative to the socioeconomics. So really incredible work by the principal and the staff at White Street School. I'm going to turn it over to Siobhan Kahns, our principal, and their team to talk about the wonderful work they're doing at White Street School.
Thank you.
Mayor, before this,
Mr. Collins, yes.
we did take a vote earlier where we called White
yeah.
Street School obsolete.
Yeah.
We were talking about the building.
That's right.
One thing we know for sure is this staff is not obsolete.
That's absolutely right, Mr. Collins. Principal Collins, and again, they dealt with they still do a heavy Somali population there too for civilization, and they've come a long way. Proud of my old grammar school. Principal Cons, and hello to the family too.
Thank you, Mayor Sarno. Thank you, Superintendent Warwick, and all of the school committee members. Thank you for the invitation tonight to represent White Street School. I am going to pull up our PowerPoint if I can get screen sharing enabled. Is that a possibility?
They just thumbs up.
Excellent, I've got it. Okay. And while I fumble around on the slideshow, I want to let everyone know that we had a couple alum in the presentation tonight at the school committee meeting. Zio Melli, I believe, went to White Street School from Conservatory of the Arts, and Ambassador Paul Smith, who was earlier in the
great kid, Paul. What a great kid.
It was one of ours. So we were
Okay.
really excited to see Paul and Zio Melli represented there. So how do I look on your end for the slideshow?
We can see it.
Perfect.
Yep. Thank you.
Nothing is in the way.
No.
Okay, excellent. So we have a little bit of a presentation tonight, and I have a few staff members joining in the presentation. Hopefully it won't take up too much of the time, but we have to brag because we love our school, and that's what we're here to do tonight. So that's what I'm going to do for you. So this group of people right here, and there might be a few faces missing just because of the timing of taking the photo, is everything that makes White Street School function on a daily basis. And I know that as a principal, without this great staff, I wouldn't have a great school. So really, first and foremost, fundamentally at the core of everything we do, it's great people that make great buildings run. And this group of people get all of my credit for the hard work and the scores that you saw post-pandemic for White Street School. So I just want to kind of start with them and plug for them first. Fundamental at the heart of kind of what my decision-making is like grounded in are kind of three basic questions that I continually ask myself, and help these three questions influence each other. Because ultimately, at the most basic format of what I'm trying to do, I need to think about what it is that I have to do, how I'm going to do it, and who I'm doing it for. And these three questions kind of guided me through how to organize ourselves during the pandemic and how to create schooling while being in that set of circumstances. And so I've kind of carried these three questions forward as we're coming out of the pandemic, and I'm going to explain how these influence and form the foundation of my intentional moves as a principal at White Street, and how they influence our decision-making at White Street School. So, and right now I'd like to introduce to you a paraprofessional from White Street School. Her name is Barbara Johnson. I've invited Barbara Johnson to help present the PowerPoint tonight on this next slide, because Barbara Johnson has been a White Street School para for 26 years. She lives in the neighborhood. She knows all of the families. And so I think it's really important that she participates in our presentation tonight. So I'm going to mute for a split second, and Barbara is going to talk for a minute.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Johnson. I have been a paraprofessional at White Street School for 26 years, and I worked under 6 administrators. I've seen many changes, such as the staff. We all work together to get our job done. The students follow expectations, very peacefully. I feel like part of the team with each grade level. I work with the teachers' value, I work with the teachers. They value my opinion and experience. We're successful because we have high expectations. This slide represents the 2021 school year. We were remote learning until April and came back hybrid. Before the spring of 2020, I needed help checking my email from my colleagues. Suddenly, I was working with children from my home on Zoom. The planning session with my colleagues and organization made it a successful year. That was awful.
So Barbara is expressing to you the challenges that came with that year that were presented to everyone, students and families and all of the above. But it was the fundamentals of White Street School that kept us kind of functioning inside of that year to keep learning, progressing forward. We continued with our shared leadership and collaboration, like Barbara alluded to. She participated as a member in the planning teams, and we kept our content rigorous. We made sure that we had a clear daily schedule and expectations. We also really paid close attention to making school feel like a place, even though it wasn't at the time. This picture on this screen, albeit a bit a crazy representation of me, showcases some of the fun things that we did as a staff, which held us to our traditions that we always have here. This is a picture of me online doing the morning announcement, and I would intentionally do different and silly morning announcements so that the kids would want to come on and join their learning, and they would look forward to morning announcements and closing announcements. So we tried constantly to create a sense of place at White Street School so that students always felt like it was similar to their bricks and mortar experience when they are in the building.
Thank you to Ms. Johnson, too, by the way. We didn't get a chance to say thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Mayor Sarno. I knew that you would appreciate her. I'm now going to turn it over to Assistant Principal Michelle Grilly for this slide.
Good evening, everyone. So this was just last year, 2021 to 2022. Mrs. Cons and I worked throughout the summer to prepare for our full student body back, and we were thrilled to have them back to normal. We were hoping. We were still socially distanced a bit, and we were measuring the amount of space between students, but we were all fully back and ready to go. Mrs. Cons and I worked talking about how what to expect for students and what we wanted to really work on. And that was making sure that we were back to developing student stamina and for test taking and for just the work in general. We were concerned of learning loss, and we wanted to continue the momentum that we had prior to the pandemic. We worked collaboratively with all staff on creating gradual release testing module so that we had very clear expectations for staff and students for testing and to prepare for testing. We also created something called the Assessment Investment Initiative, and that was tremendous, and it really helped to motivate students to want to do their best and to show growth. We had a lot of success in that. Last year was our first year that we did have offered tutoring for kindergarten through grade 5. We were able to offer some of that tutoring remotely, and some was in person, depending upon our family's needs. We also always focused on our sense of pride and being a place where traditions mattered. Every morning at White Street School, when we are on the broadcast, we always say, "We believe to achieve at White Street School."
Thank you, Ms. Grilly. So as you can see, through the 2 years that were kind of interrupted learning, White Street School strive to keep all of our fundamentals in place. And the main fundamentals that you will see present at White Street School is shared leadership and collaboration, teachers working together, creating rigorous lessons, and those rigorous lessons feeding the students so that they're building the ability to respond to challenging material and challenging tasks. And that was our goal last year. There was so much disrupting the thought patterns of everyone, the adults and children, as we were returning from the pandemic with concerns related to COVID still. that we knew the importance of building that back up so that, you know, come testing season, our students would be able to respond again in the way that we had them be able to do so when they were when they were the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders previous to the pandemic. As a result of our work last year, these were our results, as Superintendent Warwick pointed out earlier at the onset and during our introduction. You can see in comparison to the state, we are close behind, and we are lifting the district results. So we are a school that's contributing to the lift and not the drag. And so, you know, I felt pretty proud of these results. I felt very proud of them. They were results that we aimed at. We kind of set our minds to hitting the 490 marks, and we have more work to do. But post-pandemic, with everything that the students had gone through, we had, you know, 2 testing grade levels who had never taken that type of MCAS before, and our 5th graders kind of lived through the pandemic with us. So these were great results to see come through. We want more out of it, but that is natural for us. So again, when we entered the 22-23 school year, we've carried these guiding questions forward when deciding school priorities, instructional priorities, and intentional moves for social emotional learning for this school year. And I want to introduce you to Naya, a student in 5th grade, and her mom, Brittany. Her mom, Brittany, is going to speak to her experience as a White Street School parent. Naya was a grade 2 student when COVID came and shut us all down that spring of 2020. She did grade 3 remotely, and she did grade 4 last year when we returned. And her scores out of grade 4 in ELA, she got a 510. And in math, she got a 501. So she is definitely a lift for White Street School. And I'm so proud of Naya, but I'm going to let her mom, Brittany, unmute and just talk about her experiences as a White Street School parent and what has stuck out to her.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brittany. This is Naya. She's a little nervous. So Naya has been a student at White Street School since she was in kindergarten, and she's now in the 5th grade. She wanted to recite the White Street School chant because we're going to be talking about that a little bit. She's a little nervous.
Naya, I can help you. Do you want to do it together?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, ready? White Street School cares. C is for caring. A is for accountable. R is for respectful. Every day
at White Street School.
All right, Naya, that's good. Naya?
One of my favorite things about White Street School is that they refer to the students as scholars, which I really love because I feel it's really fitting, and that's exactly what they all are, little scholars. And another thing that I really love is that there's a lot of opportunity for positive incentives in the school. Some of those being scholar dollars. Did you want to explain what they are? Do you want me to do it? Naya's a little scared. So when the scholars are caring, accountable, and respectful, they receive these little scholar dollars that they can use to turn in at the school store. And Naya actually got me a Christmas present with all of her scholar dollars. So that was really sweet. And when the whole classroom as a unit demonstrates this same positive behavior, they can achieve a dynamite den, which they can have like a pizza party or a pajama party from what I've heard. So I feel that there's a lot of positive reinforcement. Teachers are really
I think Brittany broke up a little bit. Naya's mom. I think we lost you a little bit. Brendan, is that on our end or no? No, okay.
I think it's the Zoom.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
That's okay. Not your fault.
There was something else that we wanted to talk about that we loved about White Street School. They participate in something called One School, One Book, where all of the students are provided with a book. So I feel like it's very special because they include the family a lot and everything that they do. And I have nothing but good things to say about White Street School. I've always felt very included.
Thank you, Brittany. Naya, I sat where you sat many years ago, going to White Street School. So someday you could do the same, be mayor or even better, okay? Oh, there you are. Okay, we get to see you now. We see Naya and Brittany. Okay. Okay, we got you. We got you to giggle now. Yep, beautiful smile.
Great job.
Great job. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Naya.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Naya. Thank you for joining us. So one of the very important pieces that we as staff consider all of the time when we are considering what it is and how we are approaching the work that we do is really a deep understanding of who it is that we are working for ultimately. And so some of the kind of overarching data points that talk about our population are shown here. And these are, just the simple measures taken from DESE, but these are important measures to have in mind as staff members of White Street School. When you look at our numbers there, you can see that we have a race and ethnicity breakdown that mimics that of the city. And so it's important to understand deeply the community that we work in and that the students live in, so that we can keep that in mind in forming our relationships with students. We have 26.6% English language learners. That makes up 1/4 of our entire school as English language learners. So it's really important in considering how we approach our teaching and the work that we do. We have 17% students with disabilities, and our population is 90% low income, considered low income or high needs, and socioeconomically disadvantaged, which aren't numbers that define children in permanent ways, but they are components of people's lives that are important to consider when we are approaching the group that we are working with and for. But it's important to take a deeper look at the who, so that we're really cognizant of who it is that makes up White Street School. We have a 19.2% previously diversity rate. I believe this is higher, but I'm awaiting the newer numbers. 9 languages are represented at White Street School, and we have 20 or more various countries. I worked to try and count the countries, and I think that I'm quite possibly missing a few. Here in this slide, you can see a few faces that are important to, that represent White Street School and are important. At the top, we have a student named Kendra, and she is a student who has lived in the neighborhood for many years, like her entire life, but her brother, who is now 27 years old, was also a White Street School student. And so her entire family has a relationship with White Street School. We have seen 3 of her older brothers who are in their 20s, her sister who is a teenager, her, and now her first grade brother is in our school. So White Street School is a place that is in a community and has the roots there. Miss S, or Miss Sendlensky, is our phys ed teacher, and she has been working at White Street School for 30 years. So she taught Kendra's older brothers who are in their 20s, and she is now working on her 2nd generation of White Street School students, possibly her 3rd generation of students. And it's the roots like that that make this a community school. It makes it a neighborhood school, a school where students walk to the school and you get to know the people outside. And it's that aspect of White Street that is really a important aspect of White Street. Another picture I have there is Mr. Aburgia. His name is Ahmed Aburgia, and he is a paraprofessional that has been working at White Street for the past 2 years. He came as a new immigrant from Jordan. He's an Arabic speaker, and I met him because I contacted an English as a second language agency in Ludlow where he was taking courses, and he has come on board. And what's special and unique about Mr. Aburgia is that he has 8 years of mathematics teaching experience in Jordan, and now is a part of our community as a paraprofessional, using his skills as a math teacher to for our students, and the kids love him, and he is just additive to White Street School. And I'm going to turn it over to my ELA ILS, Jillian Melanson, to tell you a little bit about, a lot about kind of all of the structures that we have in place for what it is that we do at White Street School daily. So here you go, is Jill Melanson.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So the what that we are always pushing forward is that we believe that students respond to the rigorous curriculum and content with social emotional supports, and not one can work without the other. So as an ELA ILS, along with our math ILS, Luz Rivera, we meet with grade level teams at least twice a week for common planning time to collaboratively construct rigorous-based standard lessons that align with district pacing. We also meet for professional learning communities where we look at the vertical progression of standards across grade levels to develop strong core content. The shared leadership at White Street School is very organized into a series of teams. We have content area specific teams. We have a PBIS team, as well as instructional leadership team. And as the literacy team facilitator, we research best practices in the science of reading, and we plan school-wide reading initiatives like the one Brittany and Naya mentioned. One School, One Book, which is a tradition at White Street School that everyone looks forward to each year, and it builds a community of readers and bridges that homeschool connection. At White Street School, we are continuously analyzing data to drive our instruction. Teachers are engaging in the data cycle to plan, teach, and analyze and adapt their instruction. And we have an interventionist in each grade level that are part of a data analysis team that provide additional supports. They oversee the data for their grade level, and they're constantly monitoring student progress. So we have many traditions at White Street School that have created a positive school culture and climate for our staff and students. PBIS, which was mentioned, and collaboration within the community play a big role in our social emotional support for our scholars. And then we also offer many high interest after school clubs like running club, coding, game club, along with content-based tutoring programs that provide our students with many opportunities to socially interact with each other and or strengthen different content area skills. So our traditions at White Street School make it a place where students enjoy coming to learn and want to learn.
Thank you.
This slide showcases the level of rigor in the writing process across multiple grade levels, and this is a direct result of our collaborative planning at White Street School.
The collaborative planning is probably the strongest component to White Street School. So that's why the staff picture at the beginning is so important to understanding what at White Street School works. This level of work wouldn't come out of the children if teachers weren't spending time together, looking at writing together or lesson planning together and thinking about outcomes and work. In fact, that is Kendra's hands there. So she happened to get in there twice today into this slideshow, but this is 3 different kids and it's random. And this is, to be honest, you know, I'm a school principal. These are photos from today. I didn't have these prepared a week ago. These are photos of me walking around the school today and just looking at, you know, what is the real work that the students are producing out there. Next, I'd like to introduce you to a classroom teacher who's been working at White Street for 5 years, Sheena Morris, to talk about the next slide.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sheena Morris, and as Siobhan has said, this is my 5th year working at White Street School, and I've loved every minute of it. Part of the thing that I grew to love is what this slide depicts. And this is the process of how we determine what our teachers are going to do, and it's how we approach teaching in a consistent way. So students from kindergarten through 5th grade and teachers know, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And it starts with looking at the curriculum frameworks and the unit pacing guides and looking at the core curriculum that we have, as well as, like Jillian had mentioned, we look at the best practices and research-based practices, and we take all of that and we look at our data and everything and come up with like our tiered interventions. We do this all as a team, whether we're on literacy team or our grade level team. And we look at this data at every cycle. Every time we do a unit assessment, every time we do an iReady diagnostic, any kind of assessment, we look at it and we go back to this how and scale it out to our tiered interventions for the students who might be struggling. As I said, I've been here for 5 years. This was before COVID, this is how we did it. During COVID, this is how we did it. And after COVID, this is how we do it. I know no matter what, this is where we're gonna stay, continually looking at our data and our best practices.
Thank you, Sheena. It's kind of a, for all the teachers, it becomes the love of their work. But I think when you're brand new, so Sheena, you know, as a 5th year now teacher at White Street, when she first came on board, this is the kind of the big thing that you have to kind of deal with when you come to White Street School. It feels very collaborative, and so teachers have to adjust, but we work hard to support them in adjusting and planning together. So for 22-23, again, we were driven by the core questions of who, what, and how. The how is something that we've worked on over the years on, like how to roll out good lessons. So well-structured lessons. And that is something that the staff has developed and firmed up. So this year, I put a larger emphasis on what and who, because of the post-pandemic and the need for social and emotional learning and supporting of teachers and students. But the what, because there's been some major shifts in education more recently. And so I knew that we were at this pivotal moment where we had to support the teachers in shifting or deepening their subject matter knowledge.
Yes, and it was a reinvigoration of like deep content knowledge, and it's a differentiation of staff training that we focused on.
Correct. And so we have in place many different groups taking different trainings. And this was afforded to me as a leader through the SOA funding, so that we were able to kind of like choose the areas that we needed to strengthen, that were differentiated, and not treat all staff with one kind of one approach or one thing in mind. And driving Miss Grilly and I's kind of decision-making around that were these, the 2 books represented in the corner that we are going to be embarking upon more deeply with our staff, but Miss Grilly and I, as the administrators, kind of took it upon ourselves to have kind of a mini book study together in thinking about developmentally responsive and culturally responsive communities, so that we are strengthening our teachers' ability to approach their work. So in this year with the learning loss funding, I have been able to, because of the financial resources allotted to us recently, post-pandemic, or kind of like en route allotted to us, I was able to really attack kind of the learning loss in a different way and become very creative with that. So some of the things that we have going on at White Street School is a continued emphasis on staffing. Staffing, I see as an administrator as the most essential component to a good school. Great staff, good teachers, and the right amount of them, so that you know that everyone is really supporting, each other and working hard is what I think is, for me, the most important aspect of White Street School. I like to say that I try hard, I strive to make sure that there isn't one person at the school who has a quote unquote easier job than another. I think that everyone at White Street School works hard, and that's the way that a high functioning school should be. So I've continued my emphasis on staffing. I've implemented a new initiative here at White Street School that we're trying out. It's called FEV Tutors. I worked with central office in getting approval to do this. It's a one-to-one online tutoring that occurs after school. And so the students are overseen by one to two staff members here, but each of them get online with a live tutor that has a differentiated instructional approach for the student. And the tutoring sessions are driven by the diagnostic assessments. So the tutors have access to the students' work in iReady Diagnostic, and they form individualized lessons for the students. So that's happening at White Street School. We're working with FEV tutors to look at our data reports currently, because we did one cycle, and we're hoping that it has an impact on our math score for MCAS this year and gives it that little burst that we need to get it past the 490 mark and closer to the 500 mark, which is where we want to be. Playworks is another excellent initiative that I reached out to this company in Boston, and they don't work in Western Mass, but we're the first school that they're working with over here. So what I wanted to do was structure recess in a way that would reduce conflicts and sharpen students' social emotional responses to one another. Post-pandemic, I felt like they needed to learn how to be social again and play together. So Playworks is a strategic recess initiative where my staff went through a training with Playworks, and I partnered with Springfield College to get an AmeriCorps volunteer to oversee recess. So the AmeriCorps volunteer is out at every recess, 4 days of the week at White Street School. She sets up all of the games. The teachers come out and the teachers participate in stations and games with the students. And we are seeing a reduction in office discipline referrals and even nursing injury reports as a result of Playworks. And I know that Tommy Mazza came over and looked at it, and he's starting it at Kensington as a result of the effects that it has had on White Street School. That, coupled with our great new fence that Superintendent Warwick got us, we have like a beautiful recess time now at White Street School. It's really structured. Kids are playing, they're enjoying each other, and they're learning how to be social without screens and without arguing with each other, which is really important. I've also sunk a portion of money into the clubs at White Street School so that we could encourage things like chess and gaming, sports. We're going to work in collaboration with AIC's women's soccer team to kind of get a little soccer club going. We've got Girls on the Run coming. We have a running club at White Street School. We have a coding club that happens after school, and we also have our own White Street School-based tutoring. So we have really enjoyed the learning loss kind of funding sources so that we could really make White Street School that kind of place that kids want to come to, and hopefully with the hopes of increasing our attendance. So I'm going to end with allowing pictures to speak louder than all of our words, but these pictures represent all of the things that are happening at White Street School all of the time. And that is the end of our presentation tonight. And I appreciate the opportunity to come here and showcase White Street School. It is a really special place, and it has a lot to do with the community, the kids, and the staff and families. Thank you.
Principal Collins, you and your team, a fantastic job. You really have a family atmosphere there. And Barbara Johnson, I don't know if Barbara's still on. I know you have a lot of fans, but I got a text from my wife, Carla, that she said, Barbara, you're the best, just to let you know on that too. But that's fantastic work. I'll open it up to school committee members that might have some questions or comments, but tremendous work. We're appreciative of you and your staff, and keep up the kids and families, you're part of this team too, and we appreciate and wish you all the best. But I don't know if there's any questions. Ms. Hurst?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Principal Cons, that and your staff and your families, that had to be one of the best presentations I've seen in a really long time. And that's no slight to anybody else or any other of the other schools, as I have my own son in one of the local elementary schools. But I could feel the passion in every single person that presented and the authenticity. And what really resonated with me was that you were able to really balance your areas of success while recognizing your challenges. And I just really appreciated that, because if we don't recognize those, we can't grow. And it's really clear that that is your mission. And so I am just so thankful. And I just thought it was well done.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Any other questions or comments?
I would love to make a comment.
Vice Chair Monroe-Naylor?
Principal Cons is one of my favorite people in the world, and she knows that. I love White Street School. I feel like I wear like a banner sometimes. It's like White Street School. Because I just have had such a great experience with the school, and I even said this about a month and a half ago when we had our organizational meeting, how much I really was inspired to run for school committee because of the work that I saw and experienced at White Street School. And one of the things I was surprised you didn't really speak to, Siobhan, was the family engagement piece. Like, I could see a picture of open house with all the families lined up at the door trying to get in the building so that they can be a part of open house. And that in of itself is just such an experience for a parent to be in a space where other parents and other caregivers want to be and want to support their kids and be a part of the school. And my journey to becoming an advocate as a parent was at White Street on the CEDM team. And so being able to not only see it from the outside and experience, but from the inside, how the staff interact with one another, how they really think about what's best for the students and their staff and their families, and just the understanding of people are people and we just need to love them where they're at. And you feel that, you know? And so my children love y'all and still talk about y'all all the time. And I know that a lot of the academic proficiency that my children have is not just because of what they got at home, but also what they experienced there at White Street. So just keep doing what you're doing and keep loving on your families, and let us know if we can be of any help, but you got it going on.
That's a great testament. $1 million testament there. Any other questions or comments?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Gresham?
When I look at the student achievement, the numbers, that's amazing. That tells you that they have compassion and they're good with what they're doing, and it speaks phenomenal. They've done a phenomenal job, and thank you so much for all that you're doing for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham.
Just to follow up on Mrs. Gresham.
Mr. Collins?
It certainly proves it's not the facility.
Yeah.
It's the people working there that make the difference.
That's right. But we're still going to try to get you a new facility. Okay.
I love my two buildings. I love them.
We're still going to try to get you a new facility. And, you know, many a times people will say that, is it difficult to teach in an urban center? Yeah. But is it impossible? No. And many of our schools tonight with White Street is proving that it can and it will be done. Any other questions or comments?
Just like to thank Siobhan
kind
and
of
her
work?
team. When I went through the school and did a walkthrough, I saw great things, and then when I saw the results this year, I wasn't a bit surprised. The numbers matched what I saw in the building in every way, the plan, the academics, but the PBIS work, even the recess program, how well organized it is. It's just a finely tuned machine, and it's a credit to Siobhan's leadership and the dedication of our staff and our families and students. So congratulations for your great work, and keep it up.
Thank you. It's been an honor tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Principal Khan. Bye, Siobhan.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask
Yes,
a question?
sure.
Superintendent, I know that a lot of districts, and I think we do in some capacity, have the peer-to-peer teaching or training where they'll have folks come in and train on certain things. And I would definitely, I feel so strongly, and again, because of my own experience, not just knowing the data, but seeing it firsthand and experiencing it as a mom. And I really get goosebumps every time I think about it, because I think about where my son could have been and where he is now, and because of the love he experienced in that building from the staff. And I think that is a piece, that compassion that Mrs. Gresham is talking about. It's not something that people really can train. Like, we can bring in consultants and they can talk all day about DEI and equity and all of that, which is important, but it's hard to teach somebody how to care. And so when you have people that are doing such a great job at it, I think it's imperative that we be able to get them in a space where they can talk to other people about what that looks like, and so that people understand the compassion piece, right? The equity piece is super important. That's not something we ever want to do away with, but the compassion happens. It makes everything else be okay and easy to understand how to do because you care. And everybody they don't all understand how to do that. So I don't know how that gets replicated, but I'm just such a big advocate of that compassion piece and how you're able to replicate that in spaces, because we hear the complaints at certain buildings where people don't feel that compassion. People are doing everything right by the book, but the compassion piece is missing, and that is super important. So I just wanted to say that. I don't know how it happens. I would put that in your expertise to identify what that looks like and how it can happen, but I just wanted to share that.
But the sharing best practices is very important, and we work hard at that. And you can hear Siobhan talking about the program and how she brought a colleague principal over to look at it. So our principals work in teams so they can share those ideas. And our entire team, our ILSs get together to share ideas as well. So we're constantly working at that. But a credit to them for just their great work, and we'll continue to replicate it across the district. I agree.
That was a very heartfelt testimony. Siobhan, if you're still watching, you have your marketing specialist right here with Vice Chairperson Ms. Monroe Naylor on that. So if there's no other questions or comments, we're going to move.
I'd like to add to
Mr. Collins?
what Vice Chair said, is you'll find that compassion in most of our elementary schools. Now, they may not all put it together quite as well. That's the piece that we have to share.
That's good, President.
It's a calling to be a teacher in the elementary setting. And the compassion that those people have is kind of in them. And I think if you go to school, you'll find parents who feel just as passionately about other schools as you did about White Street, because it's the kind of people that go into that field. It really is.
Well put. Thank you, Mr. Collins. If there's no other questions or comments, we'll move to reports of standing committees. A, student relation parent concerns, Ms. Gresham.
No report, Mr.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. B is building and maintenance committee, Mr. Collins.
We've dealt with the items. The one thing that we when we discussed in the meeting, the 5 different schools that we are probably talking about replacing that are from various parts of the city and they are various ages. We found out that there was one common denominator, that I happen to work in all of those buildings in some capacity or at some point.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Any questions or comments on Mr. Collins' report? Okay, thank you. Legislative Contracts Committee, Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Last Thursday, February 2nd, we met on 2 items for discussion, one of which we're going to come back with more deliberation after Attorney Phelps conducts some more research as it relates to the vice chair term. There was some language that was presented at my request, so we could take a look at that, and there was some research that she was going to conduct. The second item that we discussed at our meeting was the Q&A. That did not need a vote from this body as it related to the MOU between the district and the police department. And that was going to be posted on the website both in English and Spanish. Now, Attorney Phelps, I don't know if you want to speak to that. I know you said didn't need a vote, or Superintendent Warwick, as to where we stand on that. I know that was last Thursday, February 2nd. Didn't need a vote. It could just be posted on the website. And again, I think that's in the spirit of demystifying a lot of the misinformation as it related to that MOU that was put in place to keep our kids safe.
Attorney Phelps, please. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. I've been asked by the school committee to develop a question and answer form that can be posted on the website, as Mr. Gonzalez indicated, to spell out for the public how the MOU works with regards to security cameras. We went through several iterations of it. There were several members of the subcommittee that asked me to go back and improve some language and make it clearer. And the final version is under review by the police department and Attorney Breck from the City Law Department. I did receive her comments, and we'll be prepared to bring that back to you with the revisions. They're very minor ones, but would need to show it to the subcommittee before posting.
Thank you, Attorney Phelps.
Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez, anything?
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for any questions or comments from Mr. Gonzalez? No? Thank you. We'll move to D, Curriculum Programs Committee. Ms. Hurst, please.
No report at this
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. E is Budget and Finance Committee. Mr. Collins.
Believe it or not, we'll have a meeting next week where we'll set the calendar and we begin it all over again.
Same thing on the city side, yeah. Any questions or comments? Mr. Collins' report? Okay, hearing none, thank you. Vocational Education Committee, again, Attorney Murphy. Peter Murphy sends his regrets. He has a family function. G is Technology Committee, Vice Chairwoman Monroe Naylor.
We do have a meeting that is coming up in the next couple of weeks just to review some things concerning the technology for the apps and stuff for the bus routing and a couple of other things that we've had questions about that we need to get updates on.
Thank you. Madam Vice Chair, is there any questions or comments on her report? Okay, hearing none. School Safety Committee, Ms. Gresham.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. We had an updated meeting on the metal detectors within our district. And we do have practices and procedures in place that are being followed to ensure the safety of our students and staff. And we all know that safety is our priority when it comes to staff and students.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Any questions or comments? Ms. Gresham's report, and thank you for holding that meeting. Yes,
Mayor.
Vice Chair.
With the, I know that we have metal detectors, and I know exactly why it came up. It was, we all have received those calls about that concern because of the national scare. How is it that we do it? Like, are all the kids going through the metal detectors? Is it some of them chose, like, how does that work?
They do it randomly.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if the superintendent wants to speak more on that.
Barbara hit the nail on the head, that we do it random in all our large schools. All of our alternative schools, we do every student every day because of the needs there. So, but the other schools, it's random, and it's proved to be a very good deterrent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
It
Gresham.
was a very good meeting, too.
Yeah, they did a nice job.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham again. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to I's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. Ms. Hurst, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we too had a meeting last Thursday, February 2nd. I'm sorry, I forgot what month we were in, Thursday, February 2nd. A very productive and robust meeting. We had several individuals who came before the full subcommittee to present on the work of the DIRE team, the Diversity, Inclusion, Racial Equity team, which is comprised of representatives from the district, the union, some community members as well, or there should be, I guess, a representative from PVP. And they each presented, they shared a lot of really useful information. We talked about potential changes to help ensure how we're looking at hiring, how we're looking at retention. We talked about some work that's being done with respect to policies and equity audits and making sure the language was robust. We learned a lot about some of the curriculum content that's being produced by Brian Dickey and his department. Overall, I thought it was a really informative meeting. We plan to continue to meet regularly and to think about how we mitigate whatever barriers might be in the way to this particular committee being able to do their work so that we can move towards being a really equitable district.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Any questions or comments on Ms. Hurst's report?
Mr. Mayor, I
Mr.
just
Gonzalez?
wanted to add, I wanted to thank Ms. Hurst's leadership on the DEI subcommittee. I thought it was a great meeting, a lot of great discussion. And then also for context setting, I had mentioned in the meeting, and I also would like to mention to the entire body that one of the asks, and I think really the eagerness, Ms. Hurst, is for the Dyer Committee, the district's working on, to really be able to bring some of the policy uplifts, not all of them, but some of them, because I think that's really where our role kicks in as school committee members, just for context setting as it relates to the work on the subcommittee. But thanks again, Ms. Hurst, and your leadership. I just wanted to do that context setting for the entire committee.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Any other questions or comments on Ms. Hurst's report? Okay, hearing none. We'll move to the Student Representative School Committee, and that's Jaylene Hernandez. She's been very good Central High School. Jaylene, I don't know if you hung in there. All right, thank you, Jaylene. We look forward to hearing from you. Again, you've been a very productive member. That's part of the a trio from Central High School, and Jaylene will serve us through January through March. We'll now move to the report of the superintendent. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We've had some good news on attendance. Attendance continues to move up. We're not to where we were pre-pandemic, but so far we're 2.5% above last year, so we're moving in the right direction on attendance. Chronic absenteeism is down 11.9%. Again, we're nowhere near back to where we were, but we're making significant gains. And severe chronic absenteeism is down 6.9%. So things are moving in the right direction. We're on the road to recovery, and we know we're not going to be able to move the academics forward till we get the attendance consistently. But clearly, the schools are really moving in the right direction there and working really hard at it. The mayor did a nice press release on our star Julie Bahati from Central High School, winning the Vi Goodnow Award, which is the most outstanding player in Western Mass. So congratulations to Julie. I'm sure Central's going to be in the tournament again this year, and I see us being very, very competitive in that tournament again this year. But you know, that's a prestigious award. So congratulations to Julie and the staff over at Central High School. There's also a little informational piece on a Afghan support grant. We continue to provide support for those families as they come in here. And, you know, that grant came from Governor Baker, $178,931. That's going to be used for a welcoming center, some para support, liaisons. Jewish Family Services is working with us also to set up a soccer camp and some summer school programming. So Kerry Martins and her team are doing a great job with that. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick. Any questions or comments pertaining to the superintendent's report? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to unfinished business. Hearing none, we'll move to new business.
Can I say something?
Yes, Ms. Hurst.
So I had the pleasure of attending the Equity and Advocacy Conference, which was why I wasn't here the last school committee meeting Thursday. And the district had a team there. They're great as always. I actually had an opportunity to go to the Emmett Till exhibit with Tom Richelli, and he left me to go talk to the librarians because he was curating all these things to bring back. And I just thought that was fantastic, right? That they were like so like into what it was that they were doing. It was exciting. But on Tuesday, we spent time on the Capitol, where we go and we visit all of the congressmen and women and put forth the resolutions that come before this body that get voted on by the MASC Delegate Assembly. And there were three particular resolutions that we presented to each congressperson and or their staff. And two of them I thought really pertain to us. The first one was full funding of universal lunch, so that it comes down from the federal government and not necessarily just left up to the state. And I know we had to just reallocate money to that. I think while we were there, they had to reallocate money. But the second one, and while I understand, I read the position paper and I believe I get it. I think it would be great to hear about it, whether it's in vocational education or through legislative and contracts, is that they talked about the reauthorization of the Perkins grant, and in particular, so that our vocational school does not have to go without funding for those first 2 years that they start a new program, because we can't use Chapter 74 funds when we start a new trade. I didn't know that. It comes through the Perkins funds. And so I just thought that was really interesting, because I think it's a great deal of advocacy, especially because that's what we're talking about, right? It's like, how do we close this workforce shortage? How do we continue to fill, the gaps in advanced manufacturing, these career technical pathways? And so I had no idea that, it's up I think it's up in the next 4 years, I think it is. So I just thought that was really interesting, because I had no idea that was the case.
No, go ahead, Superintendent
Yeah,
Moore.
the vocational funding is very interesting, but you're so right, and people don't realize it. When we start a new program, it takes us a year to 2 to get it licensed. Until we get it licensed, we don't get any funding. After that, we get the vocational funding for that program. So when we start a new vocational program like we're doing right now at SciTech, we have 3 different vocational programs starting. For the first few years, we have to upfront the money to get those vocational programs going. Once we get the program licensed and approved through the state, then we get the Chapter 74 reimbursement, and we'll get it for the future with those costs. So it's that delay has always been an interesting thing, why they wouldn't.
And the Perkins funds would help fund those new startup programs. So when we talk about like plumbing and electric, is it electric? Or
Electrician, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
electrician shop. Some vocational schools just don't have the funding to upfront those costs, right? But we know that master plumbers and master electricians are, a commodity, and so it got me to thinking, like, I had no idea that we have to wait to see this get off the ground before we actually could fully fund it.
We were actually working on it yesterday, and it's so true that it is a few years. So we've been upfronting the money on that for some time now, just to get them started, because it's a great investment. But the truth is, the way the state funds it is, if we submit the application, they should give us the funding while they're reviewing it. They take the time to review it and then send it back, and then send us the Chapter 74 funding. So that would be a big improvement.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ms. Hurst, because with this workforce development challenge we have, and numero uno, is vocational training. There's got to be a big push on that for skilled tradesmen and tradeswomen on it, the need of that. 2, there's got to be a comprehensive look at immigration. People, they want to work. And you might think, coming from me, it's a little bit of a curveball, but there's always been law and order. But you're going to have to start to look at subtypes of lower-level crimes that have been committed. People have done their time, they've done the right thing, and that has to be looked at now if people gain entry as far as educational or job training type things. That's where we're at right now, because literally you have 2 positions open for any person, every person out there. And I know there's times there's a mindset of you have to increase wages. Yes, but there also is some mindset that people after COVID have settled in saying, you know what, I'm okay with what I'm doing. I'm just going to try to get by. So we have to look at innovative ways. But number one, I agree with number one, it's got to be that vocational training. There's got to be a big push on that for skilled tradesmen and tradeswomen. Has to be done. And those other 2 caveats have to be looked at in a structured way to give opportunity to people that deserve that opportunity. Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just in line with what Ms. Hurst was speaking on as it relates to policy and legislation and advocacy, something I had mentioned to Ms. Hurst and Mr. Superintendent, I don't know if you're aware of, you've seen this, that there's some advocacy happening at the State House as it relates to MCAS being a qualifier for a high school diploma in receivership. And I don't know kind of what, thoughts are on that, or if there's any space for advocacy on our behalf on the school committee about that. I mean, I think there was a comparative analysis that was conducted. And again, don't quote me on this. I don't know if there was only 8-10 states that required standardized testing as a basis for receivership and/or high school diploma. It was interesting.
Oh, it is very interesting. We've been following it very closely. We did actually send a letter on not increasing the MCAS scores for a high school diploma. I think it's down to 7 states that require it, and whether that's a good idea or not has been debated. I don't think it's a good idea to require it. I never did. I think that you're holding kids hostage to one test when they're taking courses, and there's a lot of other ways of evaluating them. So I think it's going to be an interesting debate. I'm hoping with the change in administration, the new administration is going to be favorable, and the new Secretary of Education, who was an urban superintendent, I think it's going to make a big difference to have a practitioner in that office. So I do hope they take a look at that, because I think there's a lot more than one test that should decide a diploma. So I think it's a debate that we should continue to watch and be part of.
Could we send a letter out? I know we did that in the past about certain things we were in favor of. Is that something?
I think we certainly could.
Yeah.
I think we have, right?
Yeah.
We have, and just to reiterate that the school committee, we stand firm. We're all for standards. We're all for standards.
Right.
And, but we don't want to put up any insurmountable obstacles too, such as what we all signed on the letter when they decided to increase the threshold. Right after we're coming off of 2.5 years of the pandemic and some learning loss that occurred on it. But, there'll be the naysayers out there saying, geez, you're trying to lower standards. No, we're not. We're all for standards, and we're all for outcomes. But we just want it to be that it's not insurmountable, where it's a setup for failure on that. So good points brought up on the vocational and need for workforce, and on that. Yeah, I haven't followed it as closely, but that tying things on if districts are taken over by the state, which we're not. We're doing well, and we're doing well in hybrid fashions too.
Yeah, and we've worked hard on the vocational. People were talking about it. We've increased the programs at Putnam, but now we're going to have programs at Sci-Tech and Central as well. Yeah. And we also did the first after dark in the state, so our kids are able to go over to Putnam and use those shops again in the evening, and we have those programs going. Yeah. So we've really increased the vocational opportunities across the district. So it's been great, and I appreciate all the school committee support, because that takes funding to do that, and we've put the upfront money into those things. We've also received some grants from the state to help us.
Some of us remember that as they go back to the future. In the old days, the old trade in Putnam, in the evening it was open.
That's right.
To really non-students, but to adults for the trades. And then there was a movement to move away from that. Now comes full circle.
Yeah, we've worked with Dave Cruz,
he's great.
To get those going in the evening for adults as well, using some of those shops. So we've really tried to work all that and improve those opportunities, because there's such a great need all through Western Mass and Northern Connecticut.
And we also have a very strong business partnership with many of our schools, but especially Putnam Vocational Technical Academy. I think there's upwards of 60 partnerships there, business-wise, and internships or cross on-the-job training on it. So very good. Any other new business?
Can I?
Good discussion. Yes.
Can I just add, just so that you know, Josiah, Mr. Gonzalez, for everybody, excuse me, I picked up my phone. Thursday, May 4th is Day on the Hill in Massachusetts. So that's our version of school committees school committees from across the state get to go to the State House and advocate for their legislative priorities.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else on new business? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Vice Chairman Monroe Naylor. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Good evening. Thank you for watching. Good health and happy Valentine's Day. God bless.